So, Damien Mu, welcome to the Naked Ambition podcast. It is so fabulous to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Fiona. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we love to kick off with a little bit of who is the guy, Damien. So, our first question is coffee, tea, or tequila?
Well, definitely coffee at the moment. Just keeping up and awake at the moment with the extra hours on, given life is happening on lots of Zooms and Teams and other things. So the coffee to keep me going. But looking forward to some tequila this summer.
Yeah, I bet you are as well. So, Damien, let's jump into it because you've been the CEO of AIA Australia and New Zealand for over 6 years now. And we know the last 2 to 3 years have been enormous for the business, a really exciting time, 2 major acquisitions, the integration of those businesses, and naturally as well leading through a pandemic. So tell us, what is next? What are you excited about AIA coming up?
Well, Fiona, as you know, I'm an excitable person at the best of times, but I think what I'm excited about is the opportunity that's coming off the back of, as you mentioned, some really big significant milestones in our journey around first the organic growth around identifying a really strong place for ourselves in the Australian market when it came to life insurance, but then bringing AIA Vitality to market, a world-leading health and wellbeing program, starting a health insurance business company, and then, getting through a royal commission while deciding to do a double, triple somersault and do 2 acquisitions at the one time, one in AU and one in NZ. It's a CommInsure and Sovereign, both, very large businesses. And, finally now getting to the point where, we'll finalise the integration of those businesses. But probably the biggest turning point in that journey also was the milestone was when we decided to become a purpose-led organisation. So really what's next is now realising our purpose and our ambition and the dream of championing Australia and New Zealand to be the healthiest nations in the world. And, from my little pocket of the world here at AIA, we want to repurpose our nation around what we believe is the dream, healthy, longer, better lives in these blessed countries of ours. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that purpose-led because I think it's rare, just having a conversation with another group the other day, it's very rare to actually see purpose-led leaders and one like yourself that is so vocal really about this vision that you have for AIA. Can you tell us how that plays out? How do you actually live that every single day talking about this purpose of AIA?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, we start with purpose. It starts with purpose and finishes with purpose. And actually, that was a turning point in our, and a bit of a fork in the road for me was, when I became CEO, was having, the question I said to the executive team is, do you want to go on this journey? And they're like, what do you mean? But purpose is really cool, right? I mean, Simon Sinek, the what, why, how. And I was like, no, because we need to understand that leadership is a privilege and a responsibility. If we're going to go out there and say we want to be a purpose-led organisation, then what we're really saying is that we care. And we can't just decide to care from 9 to 5 and, when it suits us. This is about, bringing a lot more of us personally and taking a lot more emotional energy than just sort of coming to work and saying, hi, we're driving for performance. This is it. We do what we do and go. At the time, I'm not sure everyone quite twigged onto it. But then as we've gone through this journey, what's been amazing is to see how we've been able to bring that to life in everything we do. And we then, a couple of years ago, I decided, when we talk about purpose, it's such a big word and everyone defines it differently. So how do we define purpose in the context of AIA to give it some, tangible stuff that moves to the next bit? And that part of the journey was saying, well, the 2 key tenets were exactly what I said. I believe the one differentiator around being a purpose-led organisation and not is at the core of it, you care. You have to care. The second part was, though, recognising that if we did have a purpose, we need to balance that out by the fact that, we have to be demanding of ourselves, that we want to aspire to do, continually improve, continually innovate, continually evolve so that we could achieve that dream, right, and that purpose. So we call purpose-led leadership both caring and demanding, and we balance that to really make sure that we are constantly making sure that we make it safe and a place where, what we do as a business is having a positive impact on society and moving us towards that dream of making a difference, the army of mad, and we call ourselves. And but at the same time, making it a safe place for people to come where we care about the individual and actually we want them to be their best and help them be their best. And, sorry, I'm going to just talk about this for a second, Fiona, because
go for it.
One of our things on purpose is we decided to put 80 of our leaders through the purpose on a page to define it. and come up with it, because we wanted everyone to own this, right? And in doing so, one of the key parts we came up with was a belief. So we came up with our purpose, you know, and within our purpose, we also came up with our beliefs and our character to define who we were, and really debated that, so that we had 80 of the leaders across AIA leading the AIA family aligned around this and felt bought in. And one of our beliefs is embracing difference to make the difference. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to embrace difference, and we want people to come into this place called AIA, their work home, for want of a better term, and join the family in the army of MAD. And we want them to not come in and say, yes, we embrace diversity and all these other things, and then here's how you need to act, but actually embrace it and recognise that's when the magic happens, when we actually just, you know, embrace the difference we all bring. But that purpose, you know, caring and demanding is really important to me, because I think it signifies the balance you have to have these days as a leader, which is about bringing both your head and heart. So, you know, it's very important to me, that part, the purpose-led journey.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're already, you know, said this is starting from the top. We're a couple of years in. We're being really focused on leadership at the beginning, and then how we get this out now to the rest of the organisation. What do you think are going to be some of the challenges that might come up in the next couple of years, and how this, you know, there being this purpose-led organisation may be able to help with that?
Yeah, I think the first part is making sure that people understand that, and why I say caring and demanding, fairness, because, you know, purpose-led doesn't mean just, you know, it's about the warm and fuzzy and feeling good. I mean, people connect with that because that's, you know, it's the why, it's the heart. But what we do is just, and what we deliver is equally important, so that we can continue to pursue that dream. So, you know, that's where the head comes in, and you know, this is really about connecting the head and the heart. But probably the most important, the most difficult challenge in all of that is the how. Yeah. And the reason I bring it back to that is because you can ask people, oh, what's your why? And 9 out of 10 organisations will light up and their eyes light up, and they can talk about it because it's that, you know, it's, you know, talking about what the heart. And when you ask people what they're trying to do, they can tell you that because that's their head. But then you ask them how, and they sort of stop for a moment. And there's 2 elements to that, and that's really the how in respect to the values and the behaviours of the organisation that you're going to, you know, demand of each other. And the second one is, you know, the how is around how you're going to execute these things. And this is probably where we're seeing the biggest, you know, to bring it back to a couple of things you and I have been talking about, is, you know, where we're seeing true innovation and disruption occur, sorry to use those terms, because, you know, things like, you know, the impact of COVID and others that are forcing us down this path even more so. I mean, talk about innovating, talk about being agile. How do you suddenly wake up one day and you've got to get 3,000 people at home across ANZ operating and working? And we did that within 10 days. So we really challenged ourselves. But what's happened is, you know, people, customers, employees, you know, have all changed in their expectations. And now we truly need to sort of look into, when I say achieve that dream, how are we going to create those meaningful connections and meet people where they're at, to engage them in a way that's relevant and meaningful to them. Yeah. And that's not something that financial services has done very well. You know, we've relied on a very strong distribution, product-led environment. Yeah. And now what we're doing is transforming, and this is what I'm excited about, transforming to try and move to being customer and digital-led, right? So that we can be, you know, where customers are daily, where Australians and Kiwis are living their life, so that we can truly help champion that cause. Because that's not about buying an insurance policy and hoping you never have to claim on it. This is about a partnership right throughout life. So we want to help you, you know, be well, get well, and protect your future, and be a partner right throughout that life, you know, for all the key moments.
So exciting, because that's that quadruple bottom line that you're actually talking about, and where impact is a massive part of that, and really considering the social impact that you being a purpose-led organisation also has. And it's not something, and that's exactly right, it's not something that's being talked about in financial services a lot, and it's where it should be more so, but it's nice to see some of that being led from the front.
Well, Fiona, you know, I've talked about this, you know, and thank you. You've been on the journey with us for a number of years now, and you know, I've also provided me with some phenomenal reading, and I've got my book here, my books. Yeah, and but it is about that. It's about, but I think people genuinely do look to have greater meaning in their life and connect more with being part of an organisation that is what I call shared value, right? This is about looking about what we do as a business and how that intersects with solving societal issues, so contributing to society and value to our customers and our partners. And of course for ourselves, right? Not shying away from that, right? Accepting that. I think, it's about being authentic. And as long as we can transparently talk about the win-win that we're creating for all, I think it really works well. But I think what we've seen, as you've heard me say, Fiona, is, what has also been fantastic to see. There's been a number of leaders who've been, pushing along the path and trying to, expose more of the human side, the care side, to balance the demanding. Because our society in financial services was all about the biggest, the brightest, the numbers, the chest beating, it was a very, very head place to be. And so I describe it as two things. One, a bit like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. And it's not about Tin Man, but it's about the story of The Wizard of Oz. And I'm watching my kids and, just going, what an amazing story. And that's what I think about financial services in Australia. It's, it's been looking for its heart. And finally, what it discovered is it's always had a heart. It's just been permission to use it. And so COVID has helped accelerate that, right? So that's one of the silver linings, is that, it's not just about how smart you are and how big the numbers are and this, that, and the other. It's actually, about how you as a leader can bring both your head and heart to the table. I think the Royal Commission started that. COVID just set it alight, and it's given permission to leaders to show both that caring and demanding side. In fact, it's been expected. And if you can't deliver that, well, you're never going to connect with and build that trust with Australians and Kiwis in their home, where you're asking them to let you in. Well, why would they let you in if they don't trust you?
That's just, I think of all the organisations that we've seen leaders speak like this, I have to say AIA, Australia, New Zealand is one of the rare ones where your people really do, from the top, you've said this is leadership, but people at AA have genuinely grabbed onto this at all levels. And I think that's a big leap from seeing people do this outwardly as an organisation to be seen as, from a brand perspective, or even for leaders to be seen to be saying certain things, but for people to truly espouse this as a belief of, wanting to do the right thing by customers. An exciting place to be for you. Can you talk to us about, what have you been most influenced by? Where did is this an external sort of impact piece, a personal piece? What has influenced you across your career?
I think, my career, there's so many things, Fiona, it's hard to pinpoint them all, right, because you get them. And I've started to really appreciate, not just look for the big things in life, but the small things, and really value those small things. So there's been a number of things that have influenced me. It could be a lift ride with one of my team members, right, and that engagement in that, going up 4 floors, 5 floors together could influence the outcome, because I'm far more connected and engaged to what people are saying now, whereas as in my more passionate, excitable days, running off 150 miles an hour, not stopping to, smell the roses anywhere. But now, I just value in that engagement to connect with everyone, recognising that every moment of interaction is something that could be of great value just by, not the, the old quantity, but the quality of that. But I think it goes all the way back to my grandmother, and I've shared this many times before, so apologies. But, I didn't know she was my hero till later on in life, but she's the one who, influenced me the most by, when I look at her story and how she brought the family over to give us a better life here, and worked in a factory for the next 20 years, get up in a strange foreign country. I was born and blessed in Aussie, but she, came over in the mid of her life, and, just got on a train in a different time in our world, and got a train 45 minutes away at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work in a factory, come back. And she never asked us for anything, Fiona, but it was always just every Sunday we were all living together to start with, but then, every Sunday we'd just come back for lunch. And I did that till I was in my mid-20s, right? And I couldn't wait, because, it was just the first example I had of, the power of working towards a common goal, purpose and objective, and, the power of that when everyone was aligned. And my grandmother was the leader of that. And she showed both the care and demand, mostly the demand on herself, and the family just responded, and we just all did what we had to do. And it was always about the greater good. And I guess that's where it started, Fiona. And then it's just something that I've been able to hopefully bring to anything I do, whether it's been my first job at Colonial where I entered the mail. And in that, all I wanted to do was enter the mail as quickly as I could so that, if the call centre got a call, they could answer a customer's query who might be worried about whether their redemption or their life insurance was going to be, processed. But then actually what the real other reason why I wanted to finish it so quickly was because the quicker I could do that, the quicker I could help my teammates do the actual processing of the claims and learn all the other stuff. So it was always about, I think having that, that goals about the greater good and the team and family over an individual effort. So I don't know, it starts.
Yeah. Can we start something really nice you've said then through all of that, around the listening to people as well at this time. So you just said it's this moment the last few months has sort of slowed things down for you a little bit, and you find yourself tapping into what's going on more at an individual level across the organisation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm connecting in on so many different frequencies and energy levels. How's that for a leader in financial services to talk about energy levels? Ooh. No, but it's, what I mean by that is I've discovered so many things by living life a little bit slower. Like at the back of our building in Melbourne is this beautiful park called Faulkner Park. I didn't know I watched leaves change colour, leaves over this period all fall off and regrow. And I've just fallen in love with nature and going for a walk and stuff, but also connecting into the universe and connecting into people. Because there's so many, we've got 5 senses for a reason. What you don't realise is it's great to use those 5 senses for more than just touching a keyboard, looking at a screen, listening to in a meeting, but actually just connecting those senses to other things in life where you can bring those experiences from outside back in again. But with people, it is actually being able to absolutely do 2 things. One, connect with people. So we put a business plan in place, like every organisation. In fact, I'm so proud of our team. We got together, take charge, and when given command, take charge and lead, right? And the pandemic requires that. Yeah. So within 2 weeks, we got together, we set our plan in place to give our people as much certainty and clarity as we could. And when we looked at that business plan, we said, hang on a second. People, that's great. What we've done is really good. But, the first objective was our staff and our people, well-being, safety and engagement and productivity. Second one was, about the business continuity, making sure we could perform our essential services, looking at our cost plans. And the third one was then reimagining life. But actually we just said, that's just going to go like, wow, right now, because the emotion out there is we're in a pandemic. So what we wanted to do is connect the plan to the emotion of what people were feeling. And so we called it Survive, Revive and Thrive. And together we were going to survive this together. We were going to revive and then we were going to think about thriving. But we were going to get really comfortable, reviving and celebrate that we survived this. And, one of the most amazing insights for me was just seeing the resilience of people and actually giving them the chance to stand up and lead and empowering them to help us move out of survive, revive and then get ready to thrive has been really, it's been a wonderful, heartwarming thing to see firsthand. But, connecting to the emotion of what's going on is really important. So what we've been doing is taking the chance to be the custodians of the question, not what, not why for a while, but how. Yeah. How are you going? How are you feeling? And we start with everything with 2 words. So people say, like, what's your 2 words? Because right now there's, the sense is there's 2 things going on for people, right? They're, grateful for their time at home, but overwhelmed by what's going on at home, So there's this polarization. So there's 2 words are really getting people to feel comfortable about just, talking about how they're feeling so that we can get a sense of what's going on, and then make sure the connections we've got, or the work we've got to get on with, is bringing people into the room, making sure we're aware of what's going on for them personally, and that, you know, then we're ready to go, right? We bring it in, and it's just been such an amazing exercise. So I do 2 live streams a week for 20 minutes a week, and you know, I have co-hosts and guests from internal, external, and the first 2 things we do is we all just share our 2 words. You know, so yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
What are your 2 words?
Oh, well, my 2 words, you know, I interestingly, because they change quite a lot, right? I mean, you know, it's funny how much things are changing so quickly. You know, you used to have some highs and lows, you know, a good week, a bad week, a good month, a bad month. Now you've got one hour to another, right, where you're dealing with hugely exciting things, and then you've got this massive challenge, you know. Like, I mean, this is complex. You know, you've got the lives of 4.5 million Aussies and Kiwis that we look after, and then you've got the 3,000 AIA family members, and you're worried about what's happening more broadly in society. So it's constantly changing. But the short answer is a little bit anxious, okay, about how we come, I'm hoping, forward to work and life as things are easing and restricting, because we usually have a human nature way of just coming back to it. And I'm a bit anxious about that. But then I'm hugely hopeful, and hope is optimism grounded in fact. So it's not just optimism, it's the 2, right? And hopeful that, you know, we're going to come out of this as, you know, as a stronger community, family across the world, and you know, hopeful about where we're going to be able to focus on people's healthier, longer, better lives, which is our dream.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Damien, for all those generous perspectives. I think that is the nicest way to leave this as well, that those 2 words for how you feel about where we are right now and where we might go in 2021. So I want to thank you so much for sharing. There's so much in there that was short and just absolutely powerful, as always, every interaction.
Sorry, I know you just get me going and start going. Apologies, but I was going to show all my books I've got.
Yeah, let's do your last. We'd love to see. But my last question is, what are the books that are influencing you at the moment? Any podcast books, things that you want to recommend? Let's go.
Well, Fiona, I read lots of stuff and receive lots of stuff, but again, I just want to thank you for you know, 2 books that I cherish. One is Elizabeth from a Stoic, Seneca, that I've been reading, and love that, and I have it here with me. And the other one is The Invincible Company, because we are going through a digital customer-led transformation, and I don't know the answers to that. I haven't done that before. So making sure that I'm trying to take as many learnings and insights from others that have gone through the path before is really important. So thank you for sharing those with me.
Pleasure. Thanks, Damien. You're such a legend. I really appreciate it. It's going to be awesome. Have a good day.
See you. Bye.